Guest today with us. Before we begin, let me introduce today's speaker, Ms. Kobe, to you all. Educated and trained in Silicon Valley, Ms. Kobe lived in Northern California for 20 years. After completing her Bachelor of Science from California State University and MBA from Santa Clara University, she worked in the Valley for Fortune 100 companies, startups, and in the financial industry. Her expertise include strategic planning and growth, sales execution, financial management, team building, and change management. Ms. Kobe is currently the Managing Director for Microsoft Bangladesh, Founder President of TAI Dhaka, Vice President and Co-Founder of Bangladesh Women in Technology, Board Member of the American International School Dhaka and Bangladesh on 7 summits. She has served in the board of Bangladesh Employers Federation, Bangladesh Cricket Board, Women's Wing, Abani Women's Game Development Committee, and Women Entrepreneurs Association. Ms. Kobe is also closely associated with IUB. She is the member of the Business Advisory Board of the School of Business IUB. Recently, Ms. Kobe has been appointed by the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to serve in the Governing Council of the Technology Bank.
And someone who's had, in many ways I think is an icon for our students in IUB because she's done so many different things. She's not a unidimensional person. She has excelled in many areas and across a wide range of interests, from sports to technology to business and to sort of civil society and so on. And this is in some ways, I think, particularly for our female students, I think an important thing to focus on. That she has never let her gender come into the way of her aspirations. And I think this is an amazing thing given that it is very difficult for women anywhere in the world, and particularly in Bangladesh, to get to the highest levels of either in the corporate world or in the political world or whatever. Bangladesh, of course, is a very special place because it is one of the countries where, at least in terms of political power, women have dominated for the last 2 decades and we are better off for it. And I think that same success in the political world has not completely translated as of yet to the corporate world and to the professional world. And I think it is important for our students, both male and female, and I think it's important that we see it in a gender neutral way, that to get to the highest levels of achievement, and as I'm sure that as Ms. Kabir will tell us herself, has taken a lot of hard work and a lot of great determination. And of course it helps that she's very talented, but I think that by itself did not get her where she was. So was launched Netscape. This was probably before many of you in this room are. And I remember I was at a place called RAND, which was one of the places where the original research on the internet was done. And we used to spend a huge amount of time doing something called FTP, or one photograph from one room to another, because it was so amazing that you could actually send things. Of course now, as my daughter says, she can't imagine a world without the internet, and everything she does is, she's wired all the time. And she Googles everything, and everything is at your fingertips. And now, Microsoft, of course, is an iconic company. I think if there are very few companies which are associated by name, sort of like Xerox has become a part of the English language. Instead of photocopying, we say Xeroxing. And Microsoft is very similar to that. And I have to admit that I've had a very interesting talk to our students, and he has pushed us and very appropriately, and we started this program where we're hoping to we've started already with the top corporate and entrepreneurs, and we hope to continue to bring to the IUB family, including the students, particularly the students, people who have made a difference. So once again, thank you, Sonia, for coming. You have definitely made a difference. Thank you.
Had in the past Abrar Anwar, the Managing Director of Standard Chartered Bank. We have had Naseem Manzoor, Deputy Managing Director of Apex Group, and also presently the president of the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. We had Anisa Khan, managing director of Mutual Trust Bank, and lastly we had Salman Ispahani, the managing director of Ispahani Group. They're all change makers. Now we have Sonia Bashir, and we are going to get some more. All this is for the benefit of our students, so that you can, listening to all this, I've been to all of these, and listening to them, I have learned. But it's too late at my age to learn and do something about it. But you're all young, please listen carefully to what they have to say, what Sonia has to say, what the future speakers will bring some more for you will say, and do ask questions, which I have mentioned last time as well. Do ask questions, enrich yourself, learn. I've gone wiser after listening to them. She's going to speak about Bill Gates' Microsoft. As our Vice Chancellor said, he was a dropout. So was Steve Jobs of Apple, a dropout. Mark Zuckerberg, is that what you said? A dropout. But you don't get the message wrong. Being a dropout does not make you. And he started the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation with his wife. And I read somewhere and I heard him speak in the television saying that he plans to give all his money to charity by the time he dies. Now that is great. Now that is a good message. Not the dropout bit, but this one. When you make money also, inshallah, give it to charity to people who needs help. And I would like to look forward, all of us, to listen to Sonia. And I would also echo what the Vice Chancellor said to the School of Business.
What is happening right now? Everybody knows the rules of the game, how you play cricket. People know how you bat, how you bowl, the boundary rules. People know soccer, those of you who like to watch the rules of the game. But imagine if the rules of the game changed daily. Would Shakib Al Hasan be able to bat with his head or bowl with his legs? So that is what is happening in the world today. The rules of the way of doing business are changing daily. And do you know what is bringing that change? It's technology. Technology is challenging every vertical of business. Technology is an enabler. Technology cuts through all verticals of business: agriculture, education, fintech, another aspect, health. Every field that you watch today is being touched by technology. Even 10 years ago, 3 of the largest companies of the world, based on market capitalization, were Exxon, Shell, manufacturing-based companies. Do you know the 3 of the largest companies of the world today, based on market capitalization, are Apple, Google, and Microsoft? Right? So what I'm trying to say is that when I grew up, the first thing that I learned was there's no difference between man and woman. We're really one in life, you don't compete. An interesting story from my childhood. I grew up with 2 brothers. I never had a doll in my life because I was always worried my brothers are going to make fun of me, that I play with dolls. And they would play soccer and they would never let me play, and I would say, I want to play as well. And they said, no, you can be the goalkeeper, and they would kick really hard and see if I'm good at that. And it was a bit of a challenge that I wanted to take, and saying, I want to see how it feels. So you know how I started playing volleyball and how I started playing cricket? Because my brother said, if you want to play well, you have to play in a badminton court with a football, play volleyball, and you face the side of the sun. So I had 2 brothers on one side of the court. I was facing the side of the sun with a volleyball in my hand from any place, anywhere, anytime, right? You don't need your own device to access your email. Facebook, you don't need your own device to access that. You can get on any device which has connectivity. So where is all of this hosted for you to be able to get onto it? That is the concept of cloud, right? That is parked somewhere. All you need is a device to get in and access. That is what is happening in the world. So if you begin by looking at your experiences, your students now, as you get into the workforce, you will see that everything is technology is moving in every dimension of business, right? Everybody needs to have a laptop or a desktop or things to do their computing skills with. So imagine things where life, a magazine subscription that's what changes your life, right? Where technology becomes a subscription, where everything becomes a service. You don't no longer need to own everything on your laptop. How many times have you had situations where you did a report on your laptop and then you forgot to take that in a pen drive? Let's say you have a file, you saved it, you worked on it brilliantly, and then when you went to school or when you came to class, you had to print it and you forgot to bring it in your pen drive. What would you have done? You would have to probably go back or redo the whole thing. But now, what has happened with the cloud? You can save things anywhere. Most of the times we email ourselves, right? And then we save it, and then we say, okay, I can access my email, I don't need a pen drive. Now, what technology is doing is saying that don't just apply things to computing. It's not only about saving your information, it's not only about calculating, it's about making lives better. How can technology help a farmer? How can technology help a doctor? How many of you have gone to a doctor and have still seen him take notes on a piece of paper and file that? Is that a very sophisticated way of keeping people's record? Forget the violation that happens if you don't keep it in a private way, but I'm saying that's what's changing in the world. Everything is going to be parked somewhere with enough encryption that you have access to that information any given time. If I asked any one of you that if you took your parents to the doctor, what was the last time, what was their test results, how many of you would remember? You probably wouldn't even remember when you went, but imagine if that data was available on your phone. Imagine if that data, for those of you who have parents or children or the faculty, you have family members, imagine having data at your fingertips. What does that do to lives? It empowers you, you have information at your tips. Another example of what technology is doing, and I'll put into an example, is if those of you who are level, it's people in the room, people like you. And I'm talking to women as well. So I'll give you one example before I begin why we and you have a role to play to meet where technology is flying at 40,000 feet. You need to take off and go up and meet. So women in the room can relate to this. I was married right after my high school, intermediate, because in those days the parents thought that there's a marriageable age, you get good candidates. It was an arranged marriage, I didn't know my husband, right? So then I went to Silicon Valley right after I got married and I started studying. Now, there was a pressure from my mother that don't get too old to have your child. There was a pressure from my husband that you must finish your education, because I come from, both sides of my family are they all have master's degrees. My parents do, my in-laws did. So that was pressure, and I decided that it's really interesting to be working. I'm in Silicon Valley, which is the heart of technology. I had just finished 2 years of my bachelor's degree, and I was very excited about the corporate world, and I wanted to work. So I applied for a job, and it wasn't easy, but I actually found a job. It was not a very interesting job. It was just entering data into the computer and then having that information, the bills in the computer. So there was, obviously my mother was not happy because I'm not focusing on having a child. My husband was like, if you study, how can you work? And I wanted to work. So, in my graduation, my parents came. When you do the walk, I don't know how many of you have done that. It was very easy to spot me because I have 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Science degree and MBA, and I was carrying 2 children at both of my degree times. Because I said, I will work, I will study, and I will also have a child. There is actually no limit to what we can do. It's all in the ability to make that choice that I can do it. And nowadays, women are very empowered because guess what technology allows you to do? Technology is saying any place, anywhere, anytime. Do you really need to leave your home to be working these days? No. If you're an entrepreneur, you can do anything from home. In Microsoft, the first thing we tell our people that we are not a government's house, we don't clock your hours. You are available wherever you are, do your work from wherever you are. And in the new technology age, we say if you are happy being at home and you can be productive, don't come to work. You don't really need to show your face and do your hours if you cannot do productive work. So now let's move a little bit. I've told you a little bit of the experiences of how is technology the new frontier? Can we make it a bit interactive? Umar bhai?
Yes.
So can I get a little bit of the audience, what do you understand by the new frontier, and then we make it more meaningful? Any brave soul, or would you like me to pick on you? I remember being on that side. I know how it feels. Anyone?
Pick on someone.
Pick on someone. You know, I'd love to pick on women. How about you? Would you like to, what does the new frontier mean to you? Yes, you. Microphone. The new frontier, when we talk about technology and the new frontier, you don't have to be a computer science graduate or an electrical engineer to actually start a business in technology. Technology is an enabler. So if few of you women decided to do a business on your own, even with fashion design, you could do it now. I'm going to come back to you and say two things. From Microsoft, we encourage youth, that means students, to start businesses. If a few of you got together and said, we want to start a business because we have this simple idea, we will give you all our software valued at $150,000 for free. But you have to be a student. And if you graduate and you start a company, then we will still work with you for 5 years of your existence as a company and give you software for everything we make will be free for you. Because we want to empower every individual and every organization on the planet to do more. Depressed, they don't feel well, things just go downhill. So I got my mom a laptop when I was working in Dell. She loves to play Scrabble. I taught her online Scrabble. She has Facebook, YouTube, Viber, whatever. You know, now when I go to visit her, she says, let me finish this game and then I'll talk to you. She found a companion, she found a therapist, and she found a doctor. But she doesn't complain now, she's so busy. On WhatsApp, I have to hide myself. I cannot, because she says, you were online, why didn't you take my call? So, you know that this is giving her power. Another example I'll give to you, and then I'll say why it's a new frontier. Everybody knows you have helpers at home. Two of the little girls I have at home, they have Facebook, Viber, WhatsApp, whatever you call it. Two interesting stories. The Wi-Fi provider called me and said, I'll say it in Bangla so you understand, Apa, apnar buar amader boka de speed kom.
I would like to share a story, a simple story. So I went to the doctor like yesterday, so I had an operating report. So okay, I was like, okay. Then he asked me to come again and get the X-ray report on my phone, on my database, and he doesn't even remember me.
You again and again that we are trying to save our time and empower ourselves. But the thing that I have seen nowadays is that people are wasting huge amount of time just to get connected with the technology. But is it ever possible to empower ourselves without even investing that amount of time and in a very fast rate?
So, you know, there's nothing to give today with technology in the new frontier. Is anybody in this room right now today could be a technology entrepreneur, a technology company entrepreneur. And the idea that I'm trying to share today is technology is not about software engineers and electrical engineers. Technology is an enabler. It cuts through any vertical of business. So just, can you give me a more specific example of what did you mean by investing time in learning what?
For example, the example that you gave a while ago, like about the pen drive. What I have seen that nowadays people tend to share files through social networking sites instead of doing all.
You don't really need to leverage social media. The problem with Facebook is you can check in, but it's very hard to check out, right? You just kind of get trapped, and that's where a lot of your time is going. So you don't need to do that. There are other ways of leveraging sharing file and making yourself more productive. At the end of the day, we all make a choice.
Thank you.
A little bit and figure out how you're going to manage, and then you jump. One of the gentlemen, you wanted to be an entrepreneur. What did you want to do?
I have a cafe.
And I love the idea of cafe, but I'm going to push you a bit more and say, think of some things like health, education, and fintech. 3 verticals that the world is now trying to speed up. The whole world does not have these 3 verticals leveraging technology as much as it should. So we are, as Bangladesh, we are at ground zero with everyone. The race, we're all at the same beginning line. No one is ahead of us. And I've worked 15 years in Silicon Valley. I think people of Bangladesh are very, very, very enterprising, very intelligent. We just need to believe in ourselves. We need to push ourselves, and we should not be scared of technology. Technology is not a giant that we cannot handle. We have the ability to change the world. You know how? Through technology, but because we're such a big population, if we do something right, others will leverage, others will replicate. That is where technology is right now. So I really would encourage a group of you to think of something. We've talked about health, that's a very easy, quick thing to do. And I would encourage the Dean of the School of Business, the Pro Vice Chancellor, and the Chairman to say, from Microsoft, you will get full support. We have a competition coming up in April, it's called Imagine Cup. We take the winners all the way to meet Satya and Bill Gates. They will fund you. We will mentor you because I want Bangladesh to be on the map of Microsoft. And everybody is looking at our country. This is the time. We are at a major inflection point. Nobody knows who will win the race. And everybody is at the start line because of technology. Nothing else. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your field of study is. You could be studying English language and you could have a business that leverages technology and still show the world how to do it right. So thank you very much. If there are no questions, we will end the session.
A huge fan you to Ms. Sonia Bashir Kabir, Managing Director, Microsoft Bangladesh, for such an inspirational and insightful talk. I'm sure that the students will immensely benefit from her knowledge. I would also like to thank Mr. Rashid Chaudhary, Chairman Board of Trustees, for his contribution and constant support. Furthermore, we are grateful to Professor M. Omar Rahman, Vice Chancellor IUB, for throwing light on today's topic and sharing his comments with all of us. I also wish to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of today's seminars and all guests and participants who have taken out their valuable time to be here with us today. Thank you all, and for everyone there will be a light refreshments outside. Thank you.